From Gloucester City, the Holy City, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting brings you the first round of the the Camden County annual tournament. This afternoon, the Pennsauken Indians visit the Gloucester Lions for some opening day baseball for both teams. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Chase Parson on the call. It is not our first baseball game of the year, but for these teams, it is their first. At least for Gloucester, it is. Pennsauken had one more game before us to start the year. They come in 0-1. Meanwhile, for Gloucester, they're going to be getting a heavy non-conference slate to open up their season with Pennsauken today, Deptford on Tuesday, and CCTS on Wednesday. After that, they have West Tech and Triton. They don't play their first conference game until their sixth game of the season on April the 9th. But these are two teams that are in vastly different directions to start the year. Pennsauken was 2-14 last campaign. They only won 2 games over Holy Cross and 1 over Maple Shade. Meanwhile, for Gloucester, they're coming off of their 2024 South Jersey Group 1 sectional final win. But this past season, they were 9-14 and definitely missed the mark a little bit in the Colonial Conference. But they'll be looking to get back to it this year and looking to get a hot start in 2026.
Definitely, Dan. You mentioned both their records, the 2-14 Indians last season. I believe the season before that, they were 7-11, and then the one before that, they only won a single game. So it hasn't been the start that head coach Rolando Gautier has wanted. He comes into this with a record of 23-57. On the other hand, Greg Galbraith, he comes in 163 and 135, as you mentioned, with that sectional championship win in 2024. So a tale of two coaches, two programs who want to get back on track after last season's losing records, but this game should definitely be a big one. You got some great weather. The wind is definitely going to play a factor. If you guys were seeing that just a couple of minutes ago, that was probably the biggest wind gust we've had so far. So the wind is going to play a big factor, but beautiful day. You can't ask for anything else.
Yeah, ball blowing out to center field, and obviously Gloucester doesn't have their old perennial power hitter in Seth McCormick, but they do have the Cohan brothers. Keegan Cohan batting third, the senior who's committed for basketball to Lebanon Valley University in Pennsylvania. His younger brother, Connor, a freshman, is making his varsity debut this afternoon in the 5 slot. Not only that, Jose Santos getting the start for Gloucester this afternoon. 19 innings for him last year and just under a sub-4 ERA. Meanwhile, for Pennsauken, they've got a little bit of everything in their lineup. Obviously, the star to watch for Pennsauken is Kelwin Batista, committed to Camden County College, but they've also got Evan Cresthold, a junior coming in, the southpaw, making the start. He had a 7.74 ERA last year and a whip of 2.10. He's going to look to get those numbers down, but in South Jersey and really anywhere in baseball, left-handed starting pitchers are worth their weight in gold. And if Cresthold can command the strike zone, he didn't walk all that many batters last year in his sample size, so he's going to look to get those numbers down, and the transfer from Camden Catholic is going to get the opening day start in year 2 for Pennsauken. But otherwise, it should be a great day, and we should have some great Camden County baseball coming our way.
It's going to be a great game. I mean, I'm newer to baseball. I didn't understand the Camden County tournament action, but I know the next game the winner plays, I believe, Sterling, and then the game who plays in the first round as well.
So we've got, it is a little bit of a confusing bracket because you see Camden County tournament and you think that it's all encompassing of teams, but no, it's an invitational. So teams can choose to accept or decline. We've got 6 teams in the bracket this year. The first round consists of this game, the 6v3, and then the 4 versus 5 game. Mastery Charter is the 5 seed led by Randy and Brogno, and the number 4 seed is Haddon Township. Those 2 teams are also playing today, and the 2 winners of those games will face the number 1 seed Eastern. The 5 and 4 game will play Eastern, and the 6 and 3 game winner will play the number 2 seed Sterling. Those guys, led by Rob Christ and Tad Kozaneski, will get the first round bye. So it should be a fun one tonight. It really should be, because this is going to be Camden County baseball, going to be 2 teams that are looking to get back on track, and they're going to be looking to start their 2026 season on a high note. We'll be right back from Jim Kelly Field in Gloucester City as we've got first round of Camden County tournament baseball coming up in just a couple of minutes. Jose Santos is your starter for the Gloucester Lions this afternoon, as we've got a fun matchup coming up in the Camden County tournament between Pennsauken and Gloucester. For Santos this season, or from this past season, he had a 3.98 ERA in 19 1/3 innings. He only walked 7 batters, which is a pretty low mark, and also struck out 19, had an ERA of 1.39, as his task will be facing the Pennsauken Indians. Taking a look at their lineup, coached by Rolando Gautier, their lineup is as follows. Matt Padro takes the shortstop spot in center field. Jose De Leon in center, batting second. The star for Pennsauken, coming to Camden County College, Kelvin Batista, he bats in the third position in right field. Evan Crestall, the transfer from Camden Catholic, is your pitcher and designated hitter. Behind the plate is Ramon Pena, and then Roger Torres at third, Alvin Polanco at first, Jeremy Batista in left field, and Aiden Alvis at second base. So it'll be Torres getting the start. Opening day for Gloucester. Pennsauken comes in 0-1. Had a season opening loss in their first game of the season, as the first pitch is up and away. We're underway. Pennsauken lost to Burlington Township 3-1. Game was tied going into the 7th inning, and Burlington Township pushed across 2 runs to win it. One-0 to Padro. Swung through that fastball, 1-1. Padro, the junior, just had 4 at-bats, 2 for 4 in his first game versus Burlington Township. Did not have any prior varsity at-bats before then. As a 1-1 from Torres. Popped up. That one's foul down the first base line towards Route 130. And it's 1-2.
Yeah, Dan, something that you're going to probably mention a lot is the lack of stats and really game time for a lot of these new roster members for the Lions. You know, I have my sheet here, and a lot of them are X'd out in the stats sheet because a lot of them are either freshmen or sophomores who have no experience, or they were injured and didn't play a lot last season. So it's going to be a really interesting day for the Lions to see how this lineup really plays out.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to 2024 when Gloucester won the South Jersey Group 1 sectional championship and eventually lost in the state semis to Point Pleasant Beach, you know, with Gloucester, they ended up having a very large senior class in 2024, and their 2025 class was pretty big as well. This one shot out towards right center. Cohan's on the run. He'll bring that in on the left hand, and there's one away. So Cohan retires Padro, the first batter, and now De Leon in the center field will be the batter. That's a good at-bat that time by Padro. I mean, you know, he was a little bit early on the 1-0, swung through the fastball, and then on the 2-2, hits it out towards right center field, tries to get some slicing action to put it in the gap. You know, he wasn't really early or late, timed it up pretty well. And now Torres is going to face De Leon in the number 2 slot, center fielder for Pennsauken. Torres, first pitch, up and away. As we mentioned, Torres had just under a 4 ERA last season for the 5'10", 150 right-hander. As the 1-0. Also outside, 2-0. Pretty consistent spot that time. For Torres, 8 appearances. Only had 3 appearances out of his 8 that were 3 innings or longer. His longest was a 6-inning performance versus Salem. This one's hit out towards right, towards McCormick, and foul. But that was arguably his best performance, 12-2 win. 1 earned run, 2 walks, 8 Ks. Also did well even in a mercy rule loss to Haddon Heights. 4 innings, 3 earned, had 3 unearned runs in the game, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and 1 hit batsman. 2-1. Strike, outer half of the plate, 2-2. And again for Gloucester, 9-14 last year. You know, I think people had their reservations about Gloucester, considering that, you know, 2024 was their year to win the sectional title. So they did the best that they could to capitalize in that situation, and they gave themselves the crown. 50 years to the day that was when Gloucester had won their last sectional title in 1974. And it was with one on an Aiden Daly sacrifice fly. This one's floated foul. 2-2 to De Leon. Here in Gloucester, 70 degrees today, though. Nearly 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts blowing out to center field. So, not that these two teams are necessarily home run heavy, but if somebody gets squared up with a fastball, and considering the fact that it's 300 down the lines, down both foul poles here at Jim Kelly Field, wouldn't be too surprising to see maybe one get out of here. That ball's hit out towards right field. De Leon right on cue. It's way gone. Oh, my goodness. That ball nearly went into the parking lot. And it's a solo home run for De Leon, the center fielder. And Pennsauken leads this one 1-0. It's the first homer of the year for Pennsauken. It's the first for number 17. And De Leon, right on cue, takes Torres deep, and I mean deep. 1-0 Pennsauken.
That had to happen to you, Dan. Only you. Completely calling it, and the next pitch just absolutely bombs it. Almost.
I've never seen a ball hit that far at this park. Seth McCormick, if he was a lefty, would have hit a couple out that way, but some of the longest home runs I've seen at this venue have come from McCormick out of the right side of the box. That was a moonshot from Jose De Leon, and it's 1-0 Pennsauken. Number 3 hole hitter here in for the Indians in Cowan Batista. Pardon, he is committed to Franklin Pierce University in Pennsylvania, not Camden County College. But Franklin Pierce out of the Northeast 10 Conference in PA. Got a lot of South Jersey commits. Jack Jantorno from Hatton Township. I believe a handful of others are committed to Franklin Pierce in a program that heavily recruits in the area. That one's low. Skips away from Gloucester's catcher, Aiden Johnson. Johnson will not be batting. He'll be defense only in the field today. Batista, now, one of those guys that doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. 357 hitter last year. Had 3 homers in 2024. Did not go deep in 2025. This one's popped up back behind the plate and foul. A career 338 hitter. He's been varsity all 4 years of his time at Pennsauken. And hit 333 both his freshman and sophomore years. Last season, though, 10 for 28. Only played about half a season. But a 393 slugging percentage, 1 extra base hit, 8 walks. But last year's slugging percentage was 647. Really impressive mark for the sophomore at the time. As that one's away, counts 3-2. In the on-deck circle, Evan Cresthold, transfer from Camden Catholic, playing in his 2nd year with the Indians. And also the pitcher and designated hitter in the cleanup spot. A lot of trust from Orlando Gautier for the left-hander. A 3-2, grounded foul towards the Gloucester dugout. I'm liking the location here from Torres. He doesn't have a lot of drop on his breaking balls, but he has enough zip on the fastball to where he can get these guys a little bit off balance with their contact. Looking at the first batter that we saw, Padro, he wasn't late or early on the fastball. He was a tiny bit late, but it was enough to hit it out towards the right center field gap, and Cohan's speed was able to get him over to make the play. So, if you look at what these guys are capable of, Torres is really going to have to hold this 4 down for Gloucester. And besides the home run, his location has been pretty good. That one, though, is low. And Batista picks up the walk. So he'll trot down over to first. He'll meet with a familiar face on DWB, Sechuayo Bird. He's coaching first base. Former head coach at Pennsauken baseball, also an assistant on the football team with Clinton Tabb. But as we know him, head boys basketball coach at West Hampton Tech, won their first ever sectional championship in 2026. Defeated Middletown South for the Central Group 3 title. So he's a busy man, especially when he was the head coach of Pennsauken back before COVID. His last season was 2019. Strike called on the outside corner. And it's 0-1 to Crestall. Torres dealing with a runner on first. He's allowed the last 2 base runners back-to-back. Home run and a walk. Throw back to first, not in time. And I think Torres, especially with all these lefties batting 3 in a row now for Pennsauken, although they will get relief with a right-hander in the on-deck circle, got to face those lefties outside. You know, because Torres' location on that fastball, the fastball does dip a little bit. So if you can get enough to put it in the outside part of the zone, get some weak contact, get them to roll over to the right side of the infield, it should be enough to maybe enforce a double play. Got a speedy Nico Howard at second base. As here's a ground ball out towards second base. Howard is there. They will not get the double play. And that's exactly what we were talking about. Fastball outside part of the plate, was able to get weak contact to the pull side of the field. And it's going to move the runner Batista over to second base as there's 2 away. And the number 5 hitter for Pennsauken will be Ramon Pena.
Dan, you just know everything so
don't.
far in this first inning. So far,
I've been lucky. I've been lucky. If you watch other games, I definitely say one thing and then the exact opposite happens. But that home run, though, was pure happenstance. I could not have predicted that any
I think the
better.
wind died down as well, so I don't even think that mattered.
That ball's still sitting there. It's over in a little gully over in right center.
I'm going to go get that. Let him sign it.
Well, it's his first home run ball. Somebody should grab it, but runner on second, pitch to Pena is low. That's going to get it behind Johnson, and Batista will go to third. So he's in there standing, and Pennsauken will have a second runner on, or excuse me, a runner 90 feet away for Pena. By the way, looking at where that home run ball landed on Google Maps, that ball should have went 423 feet, which would mean that it's the longest home run ever hit on a high school game from DWB. We've seen some college homers that were longer, but to be fair, those guys are a little bit older, they're a little bit bigger. Paul Figueroa holds that title for Bergen Community College back in 2024. That one misses. Actually, looks like that hit Pena. So he'll get down to first. And Pennsauken continuing the charge here with 2 away. As the number 6 batter in Roger Torres will now bat. Gloucester's first 3 for an offensive response will be Ethan McCormick in right, Kevin Bolden, the sophomore, at shortstop. Also the quarterback for Gloucester's football team, and Keegan Cohan in center field. So, you know, Gloucester, they may be a Group 2 in NJSIAA, but, you know, I went to Audubon, and I got to see Gloucester play a lot. They more or less might as well be a Group 1. They might just barely be over the threshold for Group 2. I mean, Chase, for example, for you went to Cinnaminson, and that's also Group 2. I would say Cinnaminson's quite a deal larger than Gloucester. But just in terms of, you know, the size of the building, and it's a larger facility. 1-0 to Torres. But that's the one thing, is that Gloucester used to be in Group 1. Hence why they won a Group 1 championship in 2024. But they got bumped up, had enough students enrolled. That one's fouled back towards the warehouse, and it's on the roof of the warehouse. It's 1-1. So with McCormick leading off in the bottom of the first, I mean, if you get Batista home, should be a good opportunity. I mean, 2-0 lead. You got Crestall, who's a little bit unpredictable on the mound right now, looking to get his numbers down after a 7.74 ERA last season, 2.10 whip. That ball late again, fouled back. If the inning continues after this, we'll see Alvin Polanco, the first baseman, come to bat for Pennsauken. But already 6 batters up. 1 run home on the deep home run by De Leon. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count to Pennsauken. Looking to capitalize even more early. That one's low. Runner on first goes. It's cut off by Torres. And the runner advances on the stolen base, so second and third, 2 down. But Gloucester just trying to find their way. You know, they went 9-14 last year, not a great nor bad season, just they did the best they could and got upset in the first round of the playoffs in South Jersey Group 2 to Overbrook. That ball's laced out towards left, and that's going to be a 2-out RBI. It's going to hop off the glove of Dennis Havers, and 2 runs are going to score. That's going to be an RBI single for Roger Torres, and it's now 3-0 Pennsauken. And that's going to be scored 1 RBI to Torres, 1 unearned run to Jose Torres for the error. So it'll be a single E7. Even though the runner did not advance, the reason why that's an error on the left fielder is because the runner, even though the runner from first did not advance, the runner at third probably would not have scored from second base with how close Havers was standing. So in my scorebook, that's a single E7, but we'll see if Gloucester gets charged with an error at the end of the day. That's one thing that I like to do with baseball is explain why I score the game the way that I do, because in reality, the game has to be scored fairly. And, you know, you see in Major League Baseball, there's independent scorekeepers that track the game using the letter of the law, and that's exactly how it is by the letter of the law. The runner from second, most likely, you can't guarantee anything, but he most likely would have held up at third if Havers did not bobble the ball in left field. 1 ball, no strikes to the first baseman, Alvin Polanco. There's a line drive. Torres ducks down. That's a base hit. Takes a couple tough hops. And going all the way to third will be Torres. That's another base hit. Alvin Polanco putting Pennsauken in a really good spot here early. As 7 batters, they all have found a way to tag Alvin Polanco, off of Jose Torres. And it will now be Jeremy Batista, number 8 batter for Pennsauken. As now Greg Galbraith will come out. No arms warming yet in the bullpen, but they'll come out and have a chat with him. Greg Galbraith has been a head coach for Gloucester since 2012. Over 200 career wins for the Gloucester coach. He was actually, funny enough, when I was playing baseball when I was younger, he was my personal coach. He would do, before he had any kids, he would do private lessons, and I would hit on this field or in those batting cages when I was about 10, 11 years old. But we did private lessons for about 2 years, and, you know, it was on and off. I never really, I don't want to say I didn't take it seriously, but I didn't have the ambition to do it all the time because I was just playing Little League Town Ball at the time. You know, I was a 7 or 8 hitter in my town's team, and you know, I wasn't exactly a star or anything, but Galbraith, he gave lessons, and then he, you know, had his first kid and really couldn't do him anymore. So, you know, we went somewhere else. But it's been great catching back up with him, especially when we started doing broadcasting in 2022, because the first game we did here was a game between Audubon and Gloucester. Batter is Jeremy Batista. Number 8 slot. That one's up and away. Johnson looks back the runner at third. It's 2-0. I mean, I was not expecting this hot of a start by Pennsauken. I mean, the first out was a very standard fly ball to right center field, and then, you know, that home run kind of blew the cap open for Pennsauken. Just something kind of clicked, and then everything else has just been from there. As now Johnson's got to throw. They're going to try a first and third steal, and they'll get away with it. Run scores. The ball gets away from Bolden. Polanco will hold up, and it's a 4 spot for Pennsauken as the runner steals home from third base on the first and third double steal. A delayed steal at third base. But that's exactly how that play is designed. We see it a lot at the high school level. Catchers are a little bit quicker at the professional level, so you really only see it down here. And sometimes it doesn't work, but that ball getting away from Kevin Bolden popped out of his glove, really allowed him to have an easy trip home. And, you know, if you're Alvin Polanco, there's a chance he could have made it over to third with Bolden running towards the ball. But we've got a 3-1 count. Time is called at the plate. And as we said, McCormick, Bolden, and Cohan Keegan Cohan, that is, will be the first three for Gloucester. Keegan's younger brother, Connor Cohan, a true freshman, will be batting in the 5 slot as the designated hitter, and then the junior Nico Howard at second base in the cleanup spot. That one is ball 4. And it will now be 9 batters for Pennsauken here in the first. As no bullpen action yet from what we can see from Gloucester. Nobody in the left field bullpen. But they're going to be in some trouble here with Alvis, the batter. Again, this is really not what I was expecting. I mean, Gloucester, a very formidable program, have just not been... Sometimes your first game is one that's got a lot of jitters in it and something that's got a lot of room to grow and room to improve. As Alvis, one-hand swing, fouled back, 0-1.
And again, we talked about that in the pregame, how both of these teams, it's not been too successful of a stint for head coach Gaultier for Pennsauken. Galbraith obviously has the credentials, so we can't say the same for him, but these are 2 brand new squads. These are 2 teams that don't have a lot of returning players, and they're not used to performing, and they're not a real team yet, is what I'm saying. The chemistry isn't there.
They've only had a few weeks of practice, and there's a lot of time to grow for both of these squads. That one's high. But runners on first and second, and if they bat around to Padro, the shortstop, that's going to be really interesting here, because if he gets on, they do have a guy warming down the right field line. There's a swing and a miss. 1-2. That is Drew Hanold, number 5, who is warming up in the right field bullpen for Gloucester. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runners on first and second. Pennsauken with an impressive 4 spot here in the first inning so far, as Jose Torres looks to get out of the jam, but first time is called. Howard trails off the bag. The 1-2. Outside corner, strike 3 called. Jose Torres, he escapes with 2 runners on, but he gives up 4 runs, including a solo home run to right center that went upwards of 420 feet by De Leon. Gloucester will attack. Ethan McCormick leads off when we return. Welcome back. Evan Krestel gets to start for Pennsauken this afternoon. The left-hander who spent his freshman year at Camden Catholic before transferring to the Pennsauken side had a 7.74 ERA in his 2025 sophomore season. 19 innings, 19 walks, 28 Ks, 2.10 whip, 7.74 ERA. And for Gloucester, they're going to be lining up with Gavin McCormick in right field. Kevin Bolden is the shortstop, batting second. Keegan Cohan, the right fielder, center fielder, committed to Lebanon Valley University. And then we'll get the rest of the lineup. Actually, we'll go through it right now. First pitch is a strike. Nico Howard at second base. Connor Cohan at the designated hitter spot. Dennis Havers in left field. Chase Ibsen in the first base spot. Connor Fournette at third. Jose Santos the pitcher. That ball's flown out towards the first base side and fouled. 0-2. Krestel, 2 fastballs early there. Attacked the zone. Both were in the zone. Didn't make contact the first time. Second time, though, was able to get at least something out of it. And that being a foul ball. I apologize, the camera's moving around a little bit today because it is extremely windy. But working with it the best that we can and trying to keep it on a, I don't know why it's so loose, but it's, we do the best that we can. Right fielder McCormick, 0-2. Breaking ball, nice one, but that move missed inside. Really like that whipping action on that breaking ball. Took a lot of power inside and took a lot of the zone away from McCormick. As they'll attack with the 1-2. And there's a swing and a miss. Krestel gets the first strikeout of the first. And there's one away. That will now send up Kevin Bolden. As we said for Gloucester, this is a team that likes to schedule a lot of non-conference games, and they're doing that heavily this year. They do not have their first conference game versus Gateway until their 6th game of the season. Pennsauken today, Deptford tomorrow on the road at Deptford. CCTS on Wednesday, and then, or excuse me, Wednesday the 1st, and then West Tech on Thursday. So they're going to have 4 games in 4 days, and then they take the weekend off. They'll host Triton at 10 a.m. on Monday, and then their first conference game is versus Gateway on Thursday the 9th. They'll have 3 straight conference games after that: Gateway, Haddonfield, and Paulsboro. On Thursday the 9th, Friday the 10th, and then they have an entire week off until they get to Friday the 17th. And that predates the, or precedes the Jim Kelly tournament to be held here on Saturday the 18th. That's ball 4 to Kevin Bolden. And we'll have a 1-out base runner here. It's quite intense today, the wind.
It sucks. I hate wind. That's the one thing that I hate. I can take winter, I can take fall, spring, summer, but if it's windy, it's not good.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the hurricane simulator machines that they had at like the arcade back in the day, where you'd pay like a quarter. You know, you'd stick like 50 cents in, and you would just stand in like this wind tunnel for like 2 minutes.
That sounds like a one-of-one Dan Wilkins experience. I have never heard of anything like that before.
They had it at the Funplex in Mount Laurel, or Cherry Hill maybe.
Huh.
They had it at some of the other arcades too. It was just one of those fun things that you could do, I guess, as a kid. You could just pop in 2 quarters and be in a wind tunnel for 2 minutes. You know, blows your hair around, and it's not really 100-mile-an-hour winds, but they make it act like it, because if you actually were in a wind tunnel with 100-mile-an-hour winds, you would be crushed. But not to get too morbid, though. They're just simulating what they think that it feels like. 2-0. Right down the pipe. Strike to Cohan. Cohan, a 1,000-point scorer with the basketball team at Gloucester. Committed to Lebanon Valley University, Division III for basketball. But still playing his heart out here on the diamond, was a key part of the 2025 team and of the 2024 team for Gloucester. And as we said, his younger brother Connor Cohan in the 5 slot this afternoon. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner goes. There's a swing and a miss. He ducks down. The throw is not in time. He got in there. It's a stolen base for Kevin Bolden, but Cohan strikes out swinging at the hands of Crestel, and there's 2 down. That was very close. I was worried we were going to get a strikeout throw-out double play there, but that was a strong arm from Pena. I mean, Cohan did the right thing. He ducked out of the way, tried to avoid interference at all costs. Because that's the last thing you want, is that if the runner was safe but you were out because of interference, there's a strike called. It'll be 1, 2, and 3 for Pennsauken after they batted 9 in the top of the first. Howard fouls it back. It'll be Pedro, De Leon, and Batista.
I mean, we have to try and get an official as it could possibly get, length of that home run, because that was
that was crazy. The most accurate measurement you're going to get is from me, because I put home plate as a pin, and we'll hold there as there's a ground ball. Nice play at third. He picks it, and he will tag out. Bolden going to third. Nice awareness by Roger Torres, and the inning is over. 1 runner reaches on a free pass, but nothing more. Pennsauken holding their own as the 6th seed in the Camden County tournament. They lead 4-0 after 1.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our friends, family, and anybody who we hold dear in our lives is feeling well.
The problem with spotting mental health issues is that the symptoms aren't that obvious. Just because someone is okay or appears okay on the outside doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside.
It's important that if they are in distress, that they call the right people and they get the help that they need.
And it is very important that we treat each other with respect, regardless of who you are or where you come from. But it is just as important that we treat ourselves with respect, regardless of the situation going on in our lives.
If you're in distress, you can call this number, 988, or you can visit any of these websites if you're not in distress, but would like to learn more information about mental health awareness and research.
Welcome back here in the first round of the Camden County Tournament here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Number 6 seed Pennsauken leads the number 3 seed Gloucester by a score of 4-0. Jose De Leon had a massive 423-foot home run in the top of the first, and a lot of base runners reached. 2-run single by Roger Torres, and that made it a 3-0 game. Then another RBI single made it 4-0. As Jose Santos still in the game, looking to lock things down here as he goes back for the second rotation of the order, starting out with his leadoff man in Matt Padro. That one's high. Pennsauken, after today, will have all BCSL matchups for the next four games. They will also play CCTS, but not until April 17th. As Padro pops it up. He's going to send first baseman backpedaling now towards Howard in right field. Nice play down the line there. And there's one away. Yeah, I don't know if the first baseman misjudged the wind or something, but Howard, it's one of the best things you can do as a middle infielder is when that ball is popped up down the line, give your guys some relief, give your guys some backup, and he's going to, not a very prototypical play for a second baseman to catch a foul ball that was on the line, but he was able to make that play. He was able to bring something down, and that's some resilience there from Nico Howard to come in and really find a way to get ahead. It's good defense. Here's De Leon. Somebody get your gloves out. Might send another one this way. Inside, 1-0. As we mentioned, 70 degrees today here at Gloucester. Very strong winds, 30 miles an hour plus. Saw somebody picking a chunk of grass out of the ground and just dropping it at eye level, and it just went straight back to the fence. That's how hefty this wind is today. And that home run from De Leon might have been out even on a calm, not breezy day, but it was certainly carried by that 30-mile-an-hour gust. It's a lot like playing games at Wrigley Field. Except here, part of it is because there's a lot of flat land. I mean, there's a handful of trees, but it's the same deal that there is at my college, Rowan College in South Jersey. There's no trees in the outfield. There's a parking lot straight behind the plate. The wind just funnels down. As here's a nice play, but it gets through. Howard dove for it, goes into right field. McCormick picks it up, and De Leon now 2 for 2, home run and a single. I'll bring up Kelvin Batista again.
I mean, you got to assume he's on track for the cycle, no? I mean, it's only the second inning. He's already got 2 out of the 4.
Needs a double and a triple.
I don't doubt it.
He's got a little bit of speed, too. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for it. I can't remember if we've ever had a cycle on DWB. Oh, yeah, duh, Jacob Watson from earlier this month, March 10th.
I was about to say, I think I remember seeing
Yeah,
you
20
posted
days
something.
ago. Yeah, it was versus Centenary. I guess we've never had one at the high school level. But yeah, Jacob Watson, the Delsey grad, hit one versus Centenary. And the funny thing about that game was that not only did, Rutgers Camden pretty easily win, I'm pretty sure it was something like 13-4. Watson, his home run in that game was his first career home run in 3 years at Rutgers Camden. He's a speedster. He's somebody that's, going to hit a lot of singles, doubles, and maybe even some triples because he's just got that much speed. He's so quick. But this one's low. Johnson's got to throw. It's going to be high. Bolden couldn't get the tag down, and it'll be a stolen base for De Leon. That's exactly what we were talking about with the speed. But, no, for Watson, he just drove a fastball, hit it out towards right, pull side. Another short porch at Rutgers Camden, and was able to get the ball out for what was his first career home run. I don't know if he had any in high school because Delsey is a field that's all temporary fence. So you can kind of make the dimensions whatever you want on any given day. Santos looks back at second, nothing there. And it's 1-1. 4 runs for Pennsauken here in the top of the first inning. Cracked out towards short. That's going to get past Bolden in the center field. De Leon rounds third. Runner holds. RBI single. Kelvin Batista, the Franklin Pierce commit, makes this a 5-0 Pennsauken lead. And Santos in a lot of trouble here. Just trying to find his balance. Opening day start. And for a Pennsauken team that only won 2 games last year, they have been out and swinging early. And only 1 out here in the second. Crestel foul. It's 0-1. We've got a packed slate of DWB baseball coming your way this week. More non-conference action on Tuesday down in Mullica Hill. We'll see Audubon versus Clearview. 4 o'clock first pitch from what they call the Bog. They lovingly call it the Bog as Crestel fouls it back. It's 0-2. Wednesday, we'll have our first conference game in the Tri-County, Kingsway and Gloucester Catholic. Fred Swartz will be on the call with me for that one, the longtime voice of Gloucester County College, now an adjunct professor at Rowan University. Very happy to have him on as a guest for 3 games this spring. 0-2. Crestel grounds it, pull side in the right field. That's going to get to McCormick, and it almost got past him. That'll be another base hit. Crestel gets one down this time. It's his first hit of the year, and he's now got 2 runners on and 1 away as he continues to tag Jose Santos here. I mean, this Pennsauken team has really surprised me. They have been hitting the ball very well. Reminds me a lot of their 2024 team, You know, they were 12-8 in 2024, and a lot of people were expecting them to take that next step in 2025, and they lost a lot of close games. I think something like 3 of their 14 losses were 1-0 losses where the pitching did their job, but the offense just couldn't get the bats going. So if they can do a better job of litigating that this year, as they'll have a pinch runner down at first. Not a pinch runner, but the courtesy runner for the pitcher, Crestall. It'll be Angel Rodriguez, the runner. Bolden stops it at short. He messed up the throw at second base. That throw gets away. So that's going to be a throwing error on Bolden. He missed Howard, and the bases are loaded here in a 5-0 Pennsauken game. Bolden had the right idea. I think he was originally going to throw it to first, but then he hesitated. He changed his mind, and then he tried to throw it to second, and the ball just got away. So that's an unfortunate error that time. It's the second error in the field by Gloucester in as many innings. And the batter will now be Roger Torres. He's already got 2 RBIs in the game. First pitch to Torres is a strike called outside corner. Gloucester will still be searching for their first hit in the bottom of the second, with the cleanup man leading off in Nico Howard. Strike called there, and it's 0-2. Looked like maybe a sinker ball outside there from Santos. But what's going to be important here for Gloucester is discipline. I mean, listen, you're 1 swing away from a grand slam, and it's a 9-0 game. But you're also 1 swing away from a ground ball double play, and the inning would be over. So it's one of those captivating moments where, you know, 1 swing can take you either wildly in one direction or wildly in the other direction. It's one thing to consider. This ball is smoked out towards left center field. Cohen is there. Run will score on the sac fly, but it will be the second out of the inning, and Pensauken's got a half dozen on the board. It's 6-0. Scoring from third base is Batista. And Pennsauken just hitting around here on Gloucester, giving them a very hard time on their own opening day. And it is 6-0. Top of the second inning. Run scored on the sac fly by Roger Torres. It's his 3rd RBI of the game. And Gloucester really in dire straits right now with Alvin Polanco, the batter. First baseman Polanco, first pitch, strike called. We mentioned that Drew Hanold was warming up in the third base side bullpen for Gloucester. Could come in here if anything happens with, or anything poor happens with Santos if he can't get out of this jam. Already 2 runs here in the second. Could be more. Line drive, left field. That's going to get over the head of Havers. That'll go to the wall. Bouncing off the wall, 1 run scores. Here comes the runner around third. He'll stop there. 2-run double, Alvin Polanco. Pennsauken putting on a hurting on this Monday afternoon. It's now 8-0 Indians. This is a surprising development here. Pennsauken putting bat to ball, putting pen to paper, and making business happen here as Greg Galbraith will come out, and it looks like Jose Santos' day is done. So he'll have 8 innings. We'll have to see how many earned runs are charged to Santos, as there were 2 errors in the field. And Havers, he could have had that ball, but he just misjudged it a little bit, stepped in when he should have stepped out in left field. And it ends up being a 2-run costly double for Jorge Polanco. We'll take a break. Drew Hanold will come in the top of the second after Jose Santos went an inning and 2/3. It's 8 for Pennsauken, 0 for Gloucester right after this. Jose Santos out after an inning and 2/3. Drew Hanold comes in for Gloucester, the senior right-hander. This is his first pitching appearance, and he's going to be facing Jeremy Batista. He's got 8, 9, and 1 for Pennsauken. Well, that's depending on how many batters he has to face, but Batista is his first challenge. Strike call. It's got a lot of those the motorbikes you can hear going down 130, picking up on our headsets. Well, those might not. Those, honestly, the way that engine sounded, it might be one of those really weird, cheap Civics that they just they just pimp out and make it sound like that from a mile away. It's 1-1.
I was driving down 130 to get here, and do you know like that little? It's near the Collingswood Diner on 130.
Yeah.
And there's like two overpasses.
Right.
Some dude
right near the White Horse Pike.
Right. Some dude in his like super beat up Ford truck just drilled his foot down and put foot to
pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal, and it just echoed. And I thought there was going to be some giant like motorcycle gang, and I looked to my left,
it's
and it's just
one
him.
truck.
It's like, dude,
that's great.
No way. But that's what that sounded like.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Jeremy Batista. Runner on second in Polanco. This ball's hit down the left field line. Havers will not have a play. It's out of play. It's 1-2. As we said, Gloucester will have 5, 6, and 7 in the bottom of the bottom of the second inning. Connor Cohan, followed by Dennis Havers, and then Chase Ibsen, the first baseman. Still 1-2. Pennsauken with 4 in the first, 4 in the second, with Chase Santos out of the game. 1-2 looping curveball, another one foul. That was another one that's a little bit dangerous. You know, fastball's generally okay to leave on the outside part of the plate to lefties, depending on where you locate it. But then those breaking balls, if you try to leave them outside, yes, you can force weak contact, but there's a lot more of a risk factor that goes along with it, because if you have that left-handed batter coming in, breaking ball comes in at the angle, if that is left over the middle of the plate, that's Smash City right there. As there's going to be time called. Not sure if the batter called time or if Hanold called time. It looked like he was starting his motion, so it was probably Batista. But in an 8-0 game, Pennsauken giving Gloucester the works right now here in the top of the second inning. As their offense, 8 runs, 8 hits. That one's up and away. By the way, the scoreboard here at Jim Kelly Field is telling us we've got 8 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Gloucester with 1 error. So my scorebook had 2. They're going to put 1 down. I think that the one that they are not calling an error is the play in left field where Havers bobbled the ball and it allowed the second run to score. Quick meeting on the mound here between Aiden Johnson and Drew Hanold. We've got 2-2. Getting a slow start to this one here in Gloucester, 4:53 after a first pitch of 4 p.m. And we're just in the top of the second inning here. But it's for a reason. Pensauken's been having a very solid offensive performance here so far. 2-2, 2 outs, Polanco on second. Hanold delivers way outside on the breaking ball. Missed his mark that time. Two, 3-2, fouled back. I think he chased ball 4 that time. That one looked like it was above the letters. And it'll be 3-2 still, full count. A lot of clouds coming over the ballpark here. It was mostly sunny when we got here at 3 o'clock. But not as much luck here in the second. Looking to shut it down. Popped up on the 3-2, shallow center field. Cohan's going to run in, loses the cap, makes the catch, almost ran into Dennis Havers, and the inning is finally over. Pennsauken with back-to-back 4-run innings, this time bringing up 8 batters. Pennsauken has brought up 17 hitters to the plate in the first 2 frames as they chase Jose Santos out of the game. Gloucester will look for their first hit and hopefully a lot more on the offensive side in the bottom of the second. Bottom of the second inning here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. I'm Dan Wilkins along with Chase Parson. As there's a ground ball by Connor Cohan. It's going to get through into right center field. That's going to be the first base hit in the career of Connor Cohan. The true freshman gets the knock right back up the middle. Took 1 pitch, and he gives Gloucester, Gloucester their first hit of the afternoon. This will now send up the number 6 hitter in Dennis Havers, the left fielder. He'll show bunt. Missed on it that time. It's 0-1. Might not have squared around fully. Connor Cohan, that is, on first. Havers showed bunt. Gonna go full swing this time. Misses low. 1-1. Eight nothing Pennsauken, bottom of the second inning. First round of the Camden County tournament. It really is more of an invitational than a tournament because it's not something that all teams are included in. Only 6 teams participating. Eastern and Sterling have the top 2 seeds and the bye. The entire tournament is organized by Rob Christ of Eastern, longtime head coach there, formerly at Gateway. This has a swing and a miss by Havers, 1-2. But in regards to that, 3 seed is Gloucester, 4 seed is Haddon Township. They play the number 5 seed, Mastery Charter. And number 6 seed is Pennsauken. I believe there were 8 teams. As there's a throwback to second base. It pops out of the glove, goes into center field. Chasing the ball back, making sure that the runner doesn't go. And he does not. Cohan on second. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Havers. This ball's hit down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Cohan's going to score around third. Coming in, here comes the throw from Batista. That'll be an RBI double. Dennis Havers. And Gloucester's on the board. It's 8-1. Very good piece of hitting by Havers that time, pulling that ball down the line. And he ends up getting the RBI as Havers picks up the first run for Gloucester on the RBI double. Connor Cohan scored. And Gloucester trying to hold their own. They now trail by 7. Stepping off is Crestel. Chase Ibsen, the batter, the first baseman. Hitting in the 7 slot. In the 8 slot, Connor Frenette. And then the pitcher, Jose Santos, although we'll see, pardon us, ground ball out to second base. Quick pickup. Throw over to first in time. 4-3 ground out for out number 2. Or pardon me, out number 1. Back-to-back hits. Cohan with the single. And then the RBI double by Havers. That is out number 1 of the inning. So it'll be the left-hander Frenette, the batter, third baseman. So it looks like Drew Hanold is grabbing a bat, and he's going to go in the on-deck circle. So it is a traditional pitcher's batting slot. That one goes to the backstop. With the runner on third, they hold. So yeah, the runner advanced on the ground out. Which makes sense, you know, opposite side of the infield. Good chance for him to run. Would have been a tag play over at the bag. No real reason to hold him. Outside from Crestel, 2-0. Again, you know, just watching Crestel, I've seen his mechanics, and I've watched him pitch a little bit before. He's got this kind of rocking the boat motion, you know, where he'll go back, he'll drop that shoulder down, and then he will, as a lefty, he will kind of conform it into the front of his rotation to where, you know, some guys are a lot more straight up. They'll start straight up and then they'll go, but he puts a lot of power into it by lowering that shoulder and getting a very high arc on his rotation. So being able to use that to his advantage, and, you know, again, you can see there the separation of the arms. It's a very wide separation, and he keeps everything pretty much in one motion. He runs from the stretch almost the entire time, and then when he releases that ball, he lets a lot of power fly, and that's what makes him that's what's made him pretty effective for Pennsauken in his first year, and now entering his first start of his second year with the Pennsauken Indians. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Frenette. Hanold, the new pitcher in the ballgame, he's in the on-deck circle. Swing and a miss. Frenette chases a fastball upstairs. That's out number 2. And Gloucester is going to try to hang on with what they can with the runner on third. As Drew Hanold will be the batter. This will be his 3rd career at bat with Gloucester. We mentioned that it was his first career pitching appearance at the varsity level. As Hanold strikes that one foul towards the warehouse. It's 0-1. For those just joining the broadcast, Pennsauken up 8-1 here in the first round of the Camden County Tournament. 4 runs in the first, 4 runs in the second. Jose De Leon hit a home run for the second batter of the ballgame, went over our heads, and it went 423 feet. Landed just in the gully in right center field. Cleared not only the outfield fence, but the secondary fence in right center field. We're standing between those 2 fences. As the 0-2 misses inside. Runner's going to come home. Going back to the plate is Pena. Throw is in time. He got him. Inning over, an aggressive send. Gloucester did what they could to get offense on the board, but unsuccessful as the 1 run comes in on an RBI double by Dennis Havers. But after 2, Pennsauken looking to tag on some more runs. It is the Indians 8 and the Lions 1.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Top of the 3rd inning here from Jim Kelly Field, one of my favorite places to be here in South Jersey. Great venue, great place, very well kept. As a foul ball by Alvis starts off the 3rd. Pennsauken batted 9 in the 1st inning and now batted 8 in the 2nd. So 17 batters, and we're going to be in the 3rd rotation of the order this inning. 9-1-2, excuse me. Alvis followed by Padro and De Leon, who had the home run in the top of the 1st inning. We were just saying, if you're just joining us, 4 runs in the 1st for Pennsauken. They batted 9 at a handful of hits, and then 4 more runs in the 2nd inning. A looping curveball misses high by Hanold, and it's 1-1. For Gloucester, as we mentioned, their first 5 games of the season are all non-conference opponents, and they'll have, weather permitting, because there are storms forecast for later this week. It looks like the majority of them are coming in on Wednesday. They've got Deptford on Tuesday, and then CCTS tomorrow, and then CCTS on Wednesday, West Hampton Tech on Thursday. But some teams started their seasons as early as March 23rd last week. we were talking to John Hopley about it, Pittman's head coach, and I asked him, I said, you guys are playing your opening day on March 23rd, which is, we had this conversation at the beginning of last season because we had their opening day versus Millville, and I asked him, I said, are there any advantages or disadvantages to it? And he said, well, the disadvantage is that if you have a young team, which I would argue that Gloucester has a fairly young team, if you start in the early week in March 23rd, excuse me, you don't have as many days to warm up. You don't have as many days to practice before games start, as Howard gets the pop-up one away. Pardon me. As pop out to second base. Turns us over to the top of the lineup for Padro. We were saying, though, that the Colonial Patriot is more or less going to be wide open in 2026. Gloucester and Haddon Township expected to contend. I don't think Sterling's going to do half bad either. I mean, obviously they had such a strong campaign last year, had a renaissance season, 19-7. Excuse me, in the third year, Tad Kozaneski's been at the helm. One ball, one strike. Hanold hasn't had that much velocity, but I think he's going to be an innings eater kind of guy for Gloucester, somebody who can hold down the fort, especially in a situation like this, 8-1 ball game in the third inning, trying to get Gloucester out of a bad situation and then, turn the lineup card over, get somebody to string together a couple hits. I mean, Cohan's a guy who can do that. McCormick, Bolden, if they can all work together, get some contact off of Crestall, they should be okay. As Howard gets the throw over to first, it'll be in time for out number 2. It'll be the number 2 batter, De Leon. It is interesting seeing Nico Howard. For those who don't know, I went to Audubon. I was class of 2024, and Nico and I, even though we were 2 years apart, actually were in middle school together for a while. Knew each other decently well in elementary school. And I also called a lot of his youth football games when he played for the Oakland Cougars. He and his younger brother both played for Oak Lynn, and that was my first broadcasting job. First paid broadcasting job. I did a lot of stuff for Audubon Little League Town Ball when I was 12, 13, 14, but the first time that I actually got paid for my services for my broadcasting was in 2020, and that was for the Oak Lynn Cougars youth football organization. De Leon, left field, straight away. Havers is there, and he'll make the catch to retire the side. So that is a clean third inning for Drew Hanold. We just talked about holding down the fort, and Drew Hanold did exactly that. 1-2-3, down goes Pennsauken. Gloucester looks to get some more offense as they trail 8-1. Welcome back here from Jim Kelly Field. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Chase Parson on the call of Rowan College at Burlington County, and our producer Damian Waiters today from West Deptford High School. We got a good one today. 8-1, Pennsauken over Gloucester. Definitely a shocking start by Pennsauken, putting up 8 runs in the first 2 innings, but Drew Hanold showing signs of life for Gloucester, shutting down the order in the 3rd, and got De Leon, who has been elusive all day with 2 hits, solo home run that left all parts of the ballpark, followed by a base hit in the 2nd, shut him down with a fly ball to left. Here's Hanold again, and was outside. So Hanold restarts his at-bat after the 2nd inning ended with a runner being thrown out at home. Hanold swings and misses, 1-1. Nine, 1-2 for Gloucester. Hanold, and we turn the lineup over to McCormick and then Bolden. Late on the fastball inside, 1-2. Still was able to make contact though, and if Hanold can push the ball the other way, there is a tiny, I'd like to say that their second baseman is just a little bit shifted over to the left. As a 1-2, it's a swing and a miss. Hanold strikes out swinging, and Evan Crestol has another strikeout, 1 away. Strikeout number 3. Strikeout number 4 for Crestol. But the lineup turns back over now for McCormick. Inside, no, called a strike. Yeah, Crestol's really using this zone to his advantage. He's using the inside parts well. He's using the outside parts well. Like that one just missed a little bit inside, but if that breaking ball didn't have as much of a zip inside and moved more up and down like a 12-6, you know, you're dealing with an entirely different situation in terms of whether that's a strike or not. But that one was way up and away, 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Late, and it's 2-2. McCormick struck out swinging his first time versus Crestol. One run, 2 hits for Gloucester in the 2nd inning. Base hit by Connor Cohan, the freshman in his first varsity at-bat. Then he came around to score on the RBI double by Dennis Havers. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks for Crestol. That's 5 for him this afternoon. And there's 2 down. And that time there, using that fastball upstairs, being able to command the zone, get ahead in the count, and then, you know, he was a little bit away on that last pitch, but then he moves up, moves it just around the letters, and it's enough for McCormick to get a swing and a miss. As Bolden the batter, first pitch is a strike. Bolden, as we mentioned, sophomore for Gloucester, also the quarterback of the Gloucester football team. Got to see Bolden play as a freshman. I mean, listen, he's somebody that is not afraid to play where it matters most, considering the fact that he became a starter as a freshman in his first game for Gloucester. We saw Gloucester football back in 2024, and the one game I got to see him play in was versus, I want to say, Shalleck, and it was a game that Shalleck won, but it was a super close game, a lot of amazing plays, and Bolden played exceptionally well in that game. So multi-sport athlete, you know, it's kind of what's expected out of Group 1s and Group 2s, especially in these smaller communities. You know, even Pennsauken, you see a handful of multi-sport athletes, but this is the time to do it. You know, once you're in college, it becomes infinitely more difficult to become a multi-sport athlete. So being able to do it in high school, you know, these guys are dedicated to work. They're dedicated to the grind, if you will, of being able to go day in and day out. I mean, these guys have great stamina for what it's worth. Look at Keegan Cohan. You know, basketball in the winter, That's a very quick turnaround from your last basketball game, your last basketball practice to, the first day of baseball in mid-March. 3-2. God, I'm looking. Evan Crestel strikes out the side, and he's got 6 Ks in 3 innings. After a bit of an interesting start by Gloucester in the second, they're shut down again in the third. We go to the top of the fourth. It's Pennsauken 8, Gloucester 1.
In life, book Dog Pro Wrestling for your next event or outing for the greatest action that New Jersey Pro Wrestling has to offer. Any place, any time, any setting, Dog Pro Wrestling will bring the action to you, and you won't want to miss it for moments like this. But don't just take it from me. Take it from Max Mundo, the Dog Pro Wrestling ambassador.
This is Max Mundo with Dog Pro Wrestling. Are you a civic organization, sporting club looking to fundraise? Then look no further to Dog Pro Wrestling. We do grand openings, corporate events, and much more.
And why not from some of the wrestling talent themselves?
I'm Vinny the Fixer, and I'm the champion of Dog Professional Wrestling. If you want to book the best, come see us. We're the cream of the crop. We'll come to any fundraiser you can think of. Just name the place and we'll show up.
This is the upstanding Dylan Mesh, and for the entirety of my professional wrestling career, dog wrestling has been a main.
Back in the top of the fourth inning, this broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper pass on their first attempt. Book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, 614 Lambs Road, just minutes from Route 55. Pennsauken leads Gloucester 8-1 here in the top of the fourth inning. Drew Hanold is the pitcher. After a shutdown frame, Kelvin Batista, the Franklin Pierce commit, is the batter. The 0-1. Up and out. A little bit of an ephus from Drew Hanold. That slow curveball. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's one of those things that you don't expect to work, but it does. Because if you've got a high velocity fastball, at the high school level, let's say between the 70s, maybe the 80s, and if you've got an ephus pitch that comes in at like 50, 60 miles an hour, that velocity difference makes a difference. Think about it in the sense of, I'll make an analogy as this is a fly ball to center field. Cohan running in, diving, and he makes the catch. Keegan Cohan, hello. Takes away a hit from Kelvin Batista, and there's one away. Great play out there in center by Keegan Cohan. Showing the multi-sport athleticism. But as we were saying with the ephus pitch, I'll make a analogy in the sport of soccer. If you're a goaltender in soccer, a lot of times the ball is kicked at many different velocities. One can be coming right at you, one can be a little bit slower, and everything in between. But for the most part, when the pitcher is throwing the ephus, he's not using his arm in a slower motion, to tip the fact that it's an ephus. But it all comes out the same way, but the speed, the grip is a little bit different. So it's hard for a hitter to judge because you're lining up trying to guess what he's going to throw. So if he's in there with a fastball, then your guess is, well, I'm going to time it for a fastball, knowing his velocity, getting timed up. But when you have a slower pitch like, the ephus that we saw a few pitches ago in the last at-bat, it messes with the timing. So if the hitter's already in his leg kick and he's now in his stride, you're either going to miss super early on the swing, or if you hold back, if you're hesitant, that could cause a whole bunch of different issues. So with Crestel at the plate, he's one of those guys that can manage those pitches very well, but Hanold's another guy that's just got to try to shut him down. One's outside, 3-1.
could vouch for the goalkeeper part of that analogy, Dan. That's definitely
That's
very true.
partially why I said it, because you've got that soccer pitch experience. That's the 3-1. Crestall takes a strike, 3-2. A little bit of the upper outside corner that time for Drew Hanold. He retired the last 4 straight against Pennsauken as Crestall steps out. After a shutdown frame in the top of the 3rd, stopped the bleeding on Pensauken's offense after 8 runs, 4 apiece in the 1st and 2nd, but he'll walk Crestall that time, and we'll go to the number 5 batter in Raymond Pena with 1 away here in the 4th. I think when we were coming out to the bottom of the 2nd inning, we were talking about what would be the case to get this game into a mercy rule, but really, I mean, it seems like that a lot of things have slowed down since the top of the 2nd inning. I mean, when Pennsauken got run number 8, they took Jose Santos out of the game. He just wasn't having his best day. I mean, he had a good regular season, 3.98 ERA, very respectable numbers from the right-hander. Just didn't have his best stuff. And then Hanold comes into the game, and that's just the first base runner that he's allowed, as Angel Rodriguez will be the runner on first, substituting for Crestall. One goes inside. Did it hit Pena? No, it did not. And it's 1-1. Remember the high school rule that can have free substitutions on the base paths? Free, F-R-E-E, not 3, but free substitutions of pitchers and catchers. And then for anybody else, you're allowed to re-enter once. And that really is only there to go against the grain for lower roster sizes. I'm sure that the Group 3s and the Group 4s would have no problem with a professional style pinch runner or pinch hit rule, but I also don't really mind the re-entering once rule either, because again, you know, Gloucester, looking at their varsity roster, they've only got 15 or 16 guys, and guess what? 9 of them are on the field right now. So if you start pinch hitting guys trying to come back at the end of a game, and if those guys can't re-enter, then it kind of makes for a dilemma to where, do you just kind of lay down, keep your starters in the game even if they're not doing all that well because you don't want to take them out permanently from the game, or how else do you want to approach that? But it's ball 4 to Pena. Back-to-back free passes by Hanold give Pennsauken their first life of the 4th with 1 away after Batista flew out to center. And the batter will be Roger Torres. We'll see Gloucester again on April the 27th, the Monday, at William G. Rohrer Field at Haddon Township for Colonial Conference Baseball. Of course, all games subject to change, but that's the other Gloucester game on our schedule right now. And then we'll see Pennsauken one more time on Saturday, May the 9th at Rutgers Camden when they face off against the Cinnamons and Pirates in BCSL play. 1 ball, no strikes to number 6 hitter, Roger Torres. Roger Torres, 3 RBIs on the day, 2-run single in the 1st, and then a sacrifice fly to left center field in the 2nd. So if you can be responsible for 3 runs of an 8-run outburst, it's a pretty darn good day for the junior Roger Torres. 2 balls, no strikes from Hanold. No action in either Pennsauken or Gloucester bullpen. Hanold steps off. Oh, and it's that time of year.
The ice cream truck?
The Mr. Softy
Can't
truck,
hear it.
yeah. I can hear it through my headset. Maybe the wind is blowing it out too much. Hit out towards right field. This could drop. It will. McCormick takes a step back, but a late start by Rodriguez will hold him there. Rodriguez gets to third. It's a base hit for Roger Torres, and the bases are loaded. So after a clean start by Drew Hanold, he is now in some trouble here. Bases loaded, 1 out. And And the batter will now be Alvin Polanco. As much as the weather is nice, I can't imagine wanting to get an ice cream cone in today's conditions. It did get a little bit chillier since the game started. I mean, 70 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds feels a little bit more like 55, 60 degrees, but I'm so used to calling college baseball games in 30, 40-degree weather that this actually feels relatively nice. But to each their own, because I know you're cold.
I'm freezing. That's why I'm so quiet. I feel bad.
But you're not used to this.
I'm not used to this.
I've dealt with way worse.
I also underprepared. I'm wearing a short sleeve polo, and
I'm wearing a short sleeve polo too.
Well,
so,
you know, you're warm blooded. You're cold blooded. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Here's the 2-0. That ball's laced out towards center field. This is going to get over the head of Cohan. It will. This is going to one-hop off the bottom of the wall. 1 run will score. Here comes Pena around third. Going to third is Polanco. This is going to, whoa, no, now he's got to go back to second. He's safe. He rounded halfway around third, and then he had to stop because the runner in front of him, Roger Torres, pumped the brakes at third. So it'll be a 2-run double digits on the board for Pennsauken, and the score is now 10-1 as they tag Hanold for a 2-run double to center field, the 4th straight runner to reach for the Indians. That could have been a bad spot there for Pennsauken with Polanco. You know, because he looked like he was dead set on getting the third, and then I look up again, and he had to stop and turn around because Torres had to stop, and that's where that third base coach comes in, making that communication, seeing if Cohan's going to get that throw home, and he got to the ball pretty quickly. But it's now 10-0, or 10-1 in favor of Pennsauken. 2 runs here in the 4th. That one's away for Batista. Jeremy Batista, and it's 1-0. Going over to meet with the third base coach. No, but I'm thinking that, you know, if a kid goes up to the Mr. Softy ice cream truck, gets a cone, what's going to say that the ice cream doesn't just fly out of the cone and, you know, fly away?
That's my biggest fear. That's why I never, if I do get an ice cream cone, it's the ice cream's in the cup and the cone's on top.
I was going to say, are you more of a cone guy or a cup guy?
I'm more of a cup guy. What about you, Dan?
I have always been a cup guy because if I'm ever given ice cream in a cone, I just eat the ice cream and then throw the cone away. But it's inside. 2-0 to Batista.
Now, cones are good. I'll eat them up. I just don't want just my ice cream dependent on.
I just think the cup. I think just the cup holds it more. You know,
yeah, exactly.
With the cone, like, you know, you're constantly gripping onto it and you're hoping that it doesn't melt off the side. With the cup, as long as they don't overfill the ice cream into the cup, then, you know, then you're fine. But folks, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting Baseball is now in mid-season form because it's talk about ice cream and Mr. Softy.
It also feels like it's 50 and not ice cream weather right now.
Yeah.
So
they started bringing out the Mr. Softy truck in the beginning of the month, even when it was still pretty cold out. You know, run it from March to, I think, Halloween or something like that. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ground ball, foul. It hit the batter in the on-deck circle. And it's 2-2. It's funny that Mr. Softy trucks are actually independently owned. They go under the one banner, but you can buy a Mr. Softy truck and operate it under your, I guess, as you as the owner and driver. Foul ball, left field side, over towards Havers. But we'll be hearing a lot of that Mr. Softy truck during the season. Very excited for the 2 games that we just announced that we'll be partnering with Wildwood Baseball for 2 games, both in non-conference play in the month of May. May 8th versus Pleasantville, May 22nd versus Middle Township. Johnson going out to talk to Hanold. It's almost 5:30. We're an hour and a half into the game, and we're in the top of the 4th inning. This game has not exactly been breezing along, but Pennsauken has made sure that that hasn't been the case here with all the offense that they've had. 10 runs on 10 hits, including a 2-run double by Alvin Polanco. He now has 4 RBIs on the day. So really, this middle part of the order has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. 3 RBI for Torres, 4 for Polanco on 2 2-run doubles. Batista, though, 0 for 1, walk and a strikeout. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Alvis will be the batter after this, the second baseman. He's 0 for 2. He is besides Padro, the leadoff batter, Padro and Alvis are the only batters for Pennsauken without a base. As that ball's fouled, left field side again. Going to be losing a couple of baseballs to the trees down there, and it's 2-2. I know some folks getting ready to go to the Phillies game tonight, playing the Nationals in National League East play. Should be a fun one. Might not be nearly as windy by the time the game starts, though. Time called to the batter.
I hope not.
Are you going?
A lot of people. No.
Oh, okay.
Saying just for the others, I hope that they don't have to deal with what I'm dealing with, or at least they prepare.
Yeah.
I did not.
Here's the 2-2. Batista pokes it out towards the mound. Hanold's going to throw home, but nobody's coming. Now they've got him in a rundown. Runner's going to go between third and home. Pitcher's going to back up the plate. He's going to run out of room, and they tagged out the runner. Now they're going to go down to second base, and he's safe there. And they're going to put runners on second and third. So they got the lead out. They got what they needed between third and home, but that felt like way more than it needed to be, because that runner was not breaking for home at first, unless he was going to go on the throw over. But he was just, slightly trailing off the bag. And then he went over and started the rundown. So I guess you could say that Gloucester got the job that they needed to, but they didn't do it in the way that I was expecting them to, or the way that traditional baseball sense tells you. So they get the out, and there's 2 away, as that's going to be scored a lot of different things, but it'll be a rundown that retires Torres for the second out, and the runner, Batista, will reach on the fielder's choice. So Polanco on third, Batista on second, as he was able to get all the way down there during the fiasco, during the chaos, as that one fouled back from Alvis, and it's 1-1. Gloucester in the bottom of the 4th will bat 3, 4, and 5. Keegan Cohan, followed by Nico Howard, and then Connor Cohan in the 5 slot. Hanold looking to keep the damage at a minimum. There's a swing and a miss, 1 and 2. I mean, if any of those runners, if the runner from third, Polanco, scores, then we are in mercy rule territory. It will be 11-1. But Gloucester looking to hold it at 9, kind of at their wits' end right now. The 1-2 is a curveball outside. I have faith, though, that Gloucester can turn it around, not just in this game, but in their season as well. I mean, you've got, like I said, as it appears on NJ.com, they have 4 games in 4 days. They've got Deptford on Tuesday, they've got CCTS on Wednesday, West Hampton Tech on Thursday, and then they turn around for 10 a.m. start versus Triton on Monday the 6th to start spring break. So these guys are going to have their hands full. And we were talking about in the Open that Gloucester's got a heavy non-conference slate to open up their season. Their first 5 games are all versus non-conference opponents before they play Gateway on the 9th. That's low. Count is full. Johnson trails the runner back. And it's 3-2. But Gloucester with 1 run. Dennis Havers had the only RBI on an RBI double to left that scored Connor Cohan. So Cohan had the single. Havers had the double. And then the next 3 batters were retired to end the threat. There's a swing and a miss. Hanold stops the bleeding with his second strikeout in relief. Gloucester now has some jobs to do, has some work to do on the offensive side, as They won't have, well, we still needed another inning for a mercy rule anyway, but Gloucester will now hold the lead at 9. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's Pennsauken 10, Gloucester 1. High school. This is coverage of non-conference baseball in the first round of the Camden County Tournament. Pennsauken leads Gloucester 10-1. This is the first time that Pennsauken has scored 10 or more runs in a game since May 1st, 2024, when they put up 11 over New Egypt in an 11-1 non-conference game. Although that might not have been non-conference. Hold on. That might have been when New Egypt was still in the BCSL. As that one is a strike called, and it was their last season in the BCSL. Went 4 and 19. That one's way high. Keegan Cohan, the leadoff batter. Now that he's done with basketball, I mean, I can say I covered 3 of his 4 years at Gloucester, you know, just going about through our broadcasting, and he has one of the most impressive just sharpshooting abilities that I've seen, and that's why he was a 1,000-point scorer, you know, joining a very, very nice club at Gloucester. You know, a lot of guys like Michael Light in that club, handful of others, but Cohan going to rip this one down the left field line. Foul. Would have been extra bases if it was fair. That was a strong hit on the breaking ball, but it'll be 1-2. 3, 4, and 5 for Gloucester in the bottom of the 4th. Keegan Cohan and then Nico Howard, followed by Connor Cohan, the true freshman who had his first career hit in the bottom of the 2nd, came around to score. The 1-2. Cohan gets jammed, and it's 1-2. Goes over towards the warehouse. Or at least I assume that's a warehouse.
I mean, what could that be?
I don't know. I've been doing games here for so long. I remember I looked it up, and it was something involving supply or manufacturing. Cohan fouls it back. Because I drive by it all the time on 130. I just don't look to see what it is.
That is the Universal Supply Company.
You couldn't have picked a more vague name.
Yeah, right. Apparently it takes us 13 minutes to walk there. Apple Maps is not like that. They think really low of us.
Cohan pokes one to center field. De Leon is there, and he'll make the catch. Cohan's retired for one away. You think it would take 13 minutes to walk over there? I doubt it.
Yeah, no.
5 if I could hop a fence.
Yeah, right? Apple Maps.
Apple Maps.
I mean, that's what I use. I don't use Google Maps. My girlfriend uses Google Maps, and it drives me crazy. It just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to me.
And you need a whole different app for it, you know?
Yeah, right?
Just use it with built in.
The one time that Apple Maps only did me wrong, and it was recently. It was 2 weekends ago. I was driving back from Atlantic City, and it took me to the Ben Franklin Bridge. Made me cross the. I didn't realize until I was right in front of it.
Did you put in like a dropped pin for somewhere in Philly?
It was my house. It was. I just put in home, and it looked like it was taking me home, and then all of a sudden it kept me on. What's it called? It took me off the expressway, and then I was right in front of the Ben Franklin Bridge, and then it made me drive into Philly, turn back around, and
waste $7.
Yeah, and then drive down 95, and get off on the bridge right in front of my house. Like, it was really interesting.
Swing and a miss. Ball got away on the throwback, and it's 2-2.
Sorry, just thought I'd share.
That's fair. 10-1 game, bottom of the fourth inning. Gotta fill the time somehow. Pennsauken, though, this is a very strong performance. I mean, a team that only won 2 games last year. They are the lowest seed in this tournament. 2-14. Their 2 wins were both 1-run wins. One over Holy Cross Prep 6-5, and one over Maple Shade at the end of the season 3-2. And I mean, they missed the playoffs. They didn't have a lot of success last year. They had a lot of games that were rained out, not played. There were some teams that played over, 20, 25 games, close to 30 games last year. Pennsauken only played 16. That's ball 4, with Howard walking, and Connor Cohan will bat now. Runner on first, 1 away, as Cohan flew out to center. He's 0 for 2. Howard reached first on the free pass. That's the second walk allowed by Crestel. The transfer from Camden Catholic, spent his freshman season there. And this one's grounded in front of the plate. Crestel's got to play. Bare hands it, no. It'll go back to the catcher, who picked that one up, and it'll be a 2-3 ground out as Howard advances to second on the play. 2 down now, and now it'll be Dennis Havers trying to get his second RBI. He plated Connor Cohan with the RBI double in the bottom of the second inning. He'll be looking to add on some more offense for the Lions. One run on 2 hits. Havers had one of them. Connor Cohan had the other one. Crestel looking to shut him down, though. That one is high. 1-0. And Pennsauken can put themselves in mercy rule territory if they score 1 run in the top of the 5th. Popped up. Crestel, is he calling him off? He does not. It's Polanco who's got it. Crestel covered a lot of ground, though, and the inning is over. Pennsauken shuts down Gloucester again. They leave in 1 runner on second base in Nico Howard. Pennsauken in the black and red looking to do everything right tonight as they look to advance in an upset bid to the semifinals of the Camden County Tournament. We'll be right back. 10-1 Indians. Back in the ballgame here at Gloucester High School, Jim Kelly Field. As new pitcher is Connor Frenette. First varsity appearance for Frenette. Left-hander coming in here, top of the 5th inning. After one runner was reached for Gloucester. A couple of defensive changes to accommodate the pitcher because Frenette comes in from third base. Keegan Cohan moved from center field to third base. Ethan McCormick moved from right field to center field. And Jose Santos re-entered the game as using the one free substitution in right field. But everything else is still the same. Ibsen at first, Howard at second, Johnson behind the plate, Bolden at short. And Havers in left. Strike called. 2-1. Again, the top 2 seeds in the Camden County tournament get a bye, Eastern and Sterling. Gloucester, the number 3 seed. Number 4 and 5, Haddon Township and Mastery Charter. Pardon me. 3-1. Frenette, the 3-1. Swing and a miss. 3-2. One, 2, and 3 for Pennsauken. Padro, De Leon, and Batista. That one's well up and outside, and Frenette gets a walk allowed. It's Padro's first time. Excuse me, Padro's first time on base. Pardon me. And there's runner on first with nobody out. I don't know what's gotten into me this week. I don't know if the spring season is hitting me harder than it usually has, but I apologize. Hopefully it'll resolve itself. If that one gets outside, 1-0 to De Leon. De Leon had the long home run in the first inning. Estimated distance of 423 feet. He hit it out to right center field. It cleared the outfield fence. It cleared the second fence that's behind us, and it went all the way into the gully. It nearly cleared the gully, and I would tell you where we're standing, there's 2 trees right next to each other. It landed between that, and I tell you, it was about 2 feet away from going into the Gloucester High School parking lot. I've never seen a home run hit that long here, maybe except for Seth McCormick. He had a couple that were quite long, but that was out to the other side of the field in left. But when this game started, we had 30-mile-an-hour winds. And we'll have to clip that because I called the home run. I said, there's a good chance that something could leave the yard in this game with all the tight winds, with all the high winds. And the next pitch, De Leon hit it out. That's another free pass to De Leon. 2 runners on. We've got another action-packed week of DWB baseball coming up your way, weather permitting. We go for another non-conference matchup tomorrow as Audubon visits Clearview. It's the first time those 2 teams have played in 15 years. Last time they played was 2011. Audubon won in a slugfest 16-14. But Clearview will host them for their opening day. First pitch at 4 p.m. Then on Wednesday, we travel quite literally, if you can see that Brooklawn water tower over down the third base line, we're going to be right underneath that at Joe Barth Field for Gloucester Catholic as they host Kingsway in Tri-County Conference Royal Division action at 4 p.m. We'll have Fred Swartz on as a guest commentator for the game, longtime assistant and public address announcer for Gloucester County College. He retired in 2017, now an adjunct professor at Rowan University. Very happy to have him on Wednesday. Again, weather permitting. And we're going to have a balk called on Frenette. And I think the umpire is actually going to explain to him the move that caused the balk to be called. We saw this last year with Alex Morales, he had a balk call on him, and then he's like, well, what did I do? And then the umpire actually went over and very kindly and very detailed explained the part of his motion that constituted a balk. Now, listen, I have studied the game of baseball for 10 years, ever since I was 11 years old. And I still could not tell you word for word what a balk is. I know that it's an irregularity in your motion, from the time that you're set, by the time you put the ball and your hand and your glove together, to the time that you throw the ball. It's whether it's a move, whether it's a move towards the plate, whether it's a lowering of the shoulder. It's any kind of move that could make the hitter falsely think that you are in your motion. You can't move around while you're on the mound and you're set. Once you're set, that tells the batter that you're about to go in your motion, and you cannot move from the time you get set to the time that you start your windup, to the time that you start your motion. So, still though, I didn't see any, if not a whole lot of movement that would have constituted a balk. However, that second base umpire is a lot closer. As this ball's roped deep right center field. Look out! This ball is gone! 3-run home run for Kelvin Batista. And Pennsauken has blown this game open. It's 13-1. A team that did not have a lot of home runs at all last year, they've now got 2 on opening day. Kelvin Batista, 3-run shot. The Franklin Pierce commit bangs his first of the year out to right center field. It's 13-1. That ball was roped. And it scores both Padro and Leon, who had reached on the walks. Was waiting to see if Batista was going to get one out, and he did. And that wind wasn't even that strong. That was just a straight-up shot to right center. Wasn't really helped by the wind all that much.
Well, he timed it so well. I mean, the pitch was just a low fastball that was hanging not too high, not too low. It was just perfect right off the top center part of his bat. We had a perfect angle of it, and it just darted right towards our left, actually. Not too far away from our stand, but a very well-read pitch and a very good swing that gives him the 13-1 lead.
Batista was just waiting that time. He was waiting for the opportunity. You were talking about that location there, lower half of the plate. Batista is a lefty. That swing kind of swoops up. It's not really a straight line. If you're able to time that up, bottom of the plate, lining up your bat with around your hip, that worked out really well, and Batista was able to get just such a clean swing as Evan Krestel, right field, going back, Santos, and that ball is gone. Back-to-back home runs, Evan Krestel leaves the building, helping his own cause on the hill. It barely got out atop the Gloucester banners, just beyond the 300 sign. It's a wall scraper, and that's the first career home run for Evan Krestel. It's 14-1. Third home run of the game for Pennsauken. And they're calling in the center fielder. Ethan McCormick is going to come in and pitch as Gloucester in dire straits in this one. 14 runs, 12 hits, back-to-back home runs. And Gloucester will have to find a way to get 3 outs here in the top of the 5th inning. They pull Frenette from the game without recording an out. His ERA will be infinite, as we will go to, and that's not, that's just how it is. He didn't record an out. That's his first appearance. He'll look to get those numbers down in his next appearance. But Pennsauken, man, they've had a good day. 14-1, going to the bottom. Still in the top of the 5th. Pitching change. Looks like the center fielder Ethan McCormick will be the 3rd arm used for Gloucester. Ethan McCormick, new pitcher for Gloucester pardon, here in a game that has gotten out of hand, 14-1. As this broadcast is brought to you by the South Jersey chapter of the National Adult Baseball Association. Opening weekend was last week on March 29th. Take a look at the South Jersey NABA website at southjerseynaba.com. South Jersey's largest men's baseball league with over 20 teams across 4 competitive divisions. It may not be too late to sign up for a team, though, with affordable registration costs. They get you the thrill of baseball right in your backyard. Visit southjerseynaba.com. Flied out towards right. That's a foul ball by Pena. 0-1. 4 batters and 4 runs have made this a 14-1 game. Padro and De Leon reached on walks. Then Batista had the 3-run home run. Evan Krestel had the solo home run. Pena foul. 0-2. But this has been a surprising game. Not in the sense that Gloucester has played poorly, but in the sense that Pennsauken has played very well. You know, again, a team that won just 2 games last year, and both of those games were 1-run margins. You know, 6-5 over Holy Cross, 3-2 over Maple Shade. But then they also won 12 games last year. They went 12-8. That might have been one of their best seasons in a while as McCormick picks up the strikeout. That's his first at the varsity level. And there's one away to Raymond Pena. The batter will be Roger Torres. But if you're Pennsauken, and if this season goes well for you, I mean, they've got more BCSL action coming up. They've got Florence, Delran, Bordentown, and Holy Cross in their next 4 games. If I'm Pennsauken, I use this momentum and carry it into that week because Florence might have a down year. Delran's going to be pretty good. I think that they're a team that a lot of people are going to underrate. And Bordentown, they're another team that I think Pennsauken could beat. They lost by 11 to Northern Burlington when we visited Bordentown on Friday. As this one skied out towards shallow left, Bolden will make the call, and he'll make the catch. Havers came in to back him up, but there's 2 away as Torres pops out to the shortstop, and it'll bring up Alvin Polanco. He's got 4 RBIs on 2 2-run doubles. Gloucester, though, will need 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning to send us out of Mercy Rule territory. It would be a second straight game on DWB to end in a Mercy Rule in 5 innings. Northern Burlington beat Bordentown 12-1 on Friday, a game that also saw 3 home runs from the visiting team. Cole Marchetti went yard, the Rutgers commit. I believe Mark Klusman went yard as well, along with Logan Downey, who's committed to Villanova. Strike called, 0-1. One of the things that's interesting to me is that, Chase, you're a soccer guy. The New Jersey Player of the Year, one of the best players that I ever got to commentate, Drew Roscoe's, committed to Bucknell to play soccer. I don't know if it's just because there are far few Division I teams that field men's soccer, or the fact that the competition is far more internationally based in recruiting, but the best New Jersey baseball players go to Power 5 schools. We've got guys that are committed to Alabama. We've got guys committed to Mississippi State, Tennessee, Big 12 schools, SEC schools, Big 10 schools, Penn State, Rutgers, Virginia, the rest of it. But the 1-2 is a swing and a miss. We'll say, though, before we go to the inning, there's a lot of soccer players who, even though they're the best in this competition, in this state, they don't really get the same love, and they might get stuck and stall out at low Division I or even Division IIs or Division III. So it's quite interesting. But the strikeout ends the inning. We'll talk about it when we come back. 14-1, Pennsauken. 2 home runs in the inning from Kelvin Batista and Evan Krestel. Gloucester will need 4 to stay in the game. We'll be right back. Bottom of the fifth inning. Juniel Ventura is the pitcher, the second of the day. He replaces Evan Cresthull, who had 6 strikeouts, 2 hits, 2 walks, and only 1 earned run. A fantastic performance for the junior left-hander, a transfer from Camden Catholic who came over, and, well, he's done a little bit of everything today. I would have to say he's probably my player of the game. I mean, you know, you talk about Angel Polanco, he had 4 RBIs. Roger Torres had 3, and even Kelvin Batista had the 3-run homer, but Cresthull being able to do it both sides was great, as Ibsen, the batter, first baseman for Gloucester. And one is low. 4-3 ground out in his first at bat. If Gloucester falls today, they'll be 0-1. Pennsauken will be 1-1 after a win. They lost to Burlington Township 3-1. That's what made me think that Pennsauken was going to have a bit of a second calling, if you will, after last week, because Burlington Township is a very solid team, but they are also another team that had a very heavy class of 2025 with guys like Sean Heffernan, but only losing 3-1 to Burlington Township was pretty admirable because they didn't have that same fate versus BT last year. So coming in today and putting up 14 on a team that's just 2 years removed from a sectional title, definitely something to hang your hats high on for Pennsauken. Got a strike call to Ibsen. It'll be Ibsen, Frenette, and Henold, unless Santos re-enters the game as he did re-enter the game as the right fielder, so I think that he is going to bat in that 9 slot, and he gets punched out. First strikeout for Ventura. There's one away. Ventura had 10 innings last year, 10 walks, 8 earned runs, and 11 Ks. They gave him an ERA of 5.6. 2.66 career ERA, though, had 6 1/3 shutout as a junior, and had a 1.66 ERA as a sophomore in 12 innings. So last year was if anything, more of an anomaly, as that will be a runner on for Gloucester, for Frenette.
It was a slow roller that just stayed fair. I believe the third baseman thought it was foul and then didn't throw it over to first, but it was a nice small powered hit that gets him over to first.
Yeah, Frenette's going to get the base hit here, and now it'll be, looks like, yeah, it will be Santos coming back in, so. First pitch knock for Frenette. Looks like the JV game dispersed. Got done before we did. That's Pennsauken's alternate uniforms, the Phillies style powder blue. Santos bunts, it's foul. And then Gloucester kind of huddling alongside their dugout. You know, go and support the guys. Not going to play in the varsity game. I know that in basketball there's the 6 quarters rule. It's either 6 quarters or 5 quarters, where if you're in JV, you can actually play in both games, as long as you only play, like if you wanted to play 4 quarters of your JV game, you could only play 1 or 2 of the varsity game. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6, but it's somewhere in the sense that you can't play both the full JV game and the full varsity game. Doesn't apply here. If you're on the varsity roster, you're on the varsity roster, and you can go back and forth between games, but not in the same game, because that's pretty obvious. Both games are being played at the same time. Santos swings and misses, and we're 1 out away from getting out of here with Ethan McCormick, the batter. Gavin McCormick did not transfer over from Sterling to Gloucester, as the first pitch from Ventura is outside. They're going to back pick to first, and the throw is not in time. I think Cresthull tried to, maybe Polanco tried to have a little hidden ball trick off the bag as he was running away a little bit down the first base line, but nothing there.
Might as well try that now.
That one goes inside and it hits McCormick, so he'll get on. And it'll be runners on first and second as McCormick gets tagged by the changeup from Ventura. And now Kevin Bolden will bat with 2 on, 2 out. Remember, our next broadcast will be tomorrow from Mullica Hill between the Audubon Green Wave and the Clearview Pioneers. Gavin Van Rel, the Audubon grad and student at Rutgers Camden, will be the play-by-play. I'll be taking the secondary reins, if you will, in tomorrow's contest. Wednesday will be Kingsway at Gloucester Catholic. Thursday will be Woodstown at Haddon Heights. Friday, on Good Friday, will be Timber Creek and Overbrook. First pitch at 11 a.m. Running at first base for Ethan McCormick, the pitcher, will be Eric Williams. Bolden 0 for 1, walk and a strikeout to his name today for the multi-sport athlete for Gloucester, trying to get back on the board and trying to spare a mercy rule. Outside corner called a strike, 1-1. And then Saturday we'll be down in Atlantic City covering one half of the Sports Farm Youth Football Tournament in collaboration with HSG Network. They'll have one half of the games from Atlantic City High School. As now they're going to throw back to second and the ball gets away. Nobody was covering the bag. And De Leon will save it. He'll get in there. It looked like Fournette was going to break for third, but that ball just went right in between the second baseman, Velez, and the shortstop. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pennsauken has not scored 10 or more runs in a game since May of 2024, and they're looking for a mercy rule win tonight. Strike 3 called, and the ball game is over. Juniel Ventura gets 3 strikeouts in the 5th. Gloucester leaves 2 runners on, and in an upset victory, Pennsauken will advance to play Sterling in the semifinal round of the Camden County Tournament with a 14-1 5-inning win, a game that saw 3 different home runs hit out of the park, one from Jose De Leon, the others back-to-back in the 5th inning from Kelvin Batista and from Evan Krestel. For Krestel, that was his first. He gets our player of the game for the solo home run and for 4 innings on the hill. He struck out 6 batters, gave up 2 hits, and walked 2 in the victory. Pennsauken will improve to 1-1 with the win. Gloucester will fall to 0-1 as they will have non-conference opponent Deptford on their slate. They will visit the Deptford Spartans tomorrow, at least according to NJ.com, and then they will play Camden County Tech, CCTS, on Wednesday, April the 1st. From our entire crew, our social media coordinator, Haley Mejia, our graphics crew, Caleb Lane, Carson Rosso, and Fisher Giannotti. My producer, Damian Waiters, my color commentator, Chase Parson. I'm Dan Wilkins. We'll see you tomorrow from The Bog in Mullica Hill as Audubon visits Clearview. Final score tonight in 5 innings, Pennsauken 14, Gloucester 1. Have a good one, folks.